It tells us that, given the economic indicators we've seen from the US in recent weeks and months, there are clearly many different ways to interpret the figures. As you mentioned, some policymakers were calling for a cut, while plenty were actually calling for the opposite of that. And to be perfectly honest, I would have been in the camp whereby the Federal Reserve should have actually held rates unchanged. If you look at what the US economy, the jobless rate isn't too far away from a 50-year low. Earnings are growing at a respectable rate, and they're comfortably above the inflation level. The most recent core CPI numbers show that demand is on the rise. So there are plenty of positive aspects of the US economy. This is why we have division, and this is also why I think we're not going to see another rate cut in 2019.
You said you would have been in the camp for holding rates on hold in the US. That's exactly what we saw in the UK. How are things looking there, and what can we expect for the rest of the year as far as rate decisions go? In relation to the Bank of England, they were always going to keep interest rates unchanged. Essentially, the Bank of England, because of the uncertainty around Brexit and because Brexit hasn't happened yet, the Bank of England are very much constrained. If Brexit does happen, and if it happens in a very disorderly fashion, the Bank of England will want to have as much firepower at their disposal in terms of cutting interest rates and potentially having a stimulus package announced as well, should that be the case. So that's precisely why we saw no change in the Bank of England today. But they also reiterated their view that if Brexit is handled in a very orderly fashion, we could see interest rate hikes from the Bank of England. And that is not only encouraging, it's actually fairly sensible. Unemployment in the UK is at its lowest level since the mid-1970s. Earnings, stripping up bonuses in the UK, are not too far away from a decade high. Once again, they're comfortably above inflation, so workers are getting a real increase in wages. There are many aspects of the British economy which are in good health. I know construction and manufacturing are performing poorly, but that's because of the uncertainty in relation to Brexit. If Brexit does go cleanly, I suspect we will see turnarounds in those areas. David Madden from CMC Markets in London, thank you for that analysis.